In the early months of 2025, a sense of cautious optimism lingered over South Asia. Years of diplomatic efforts and back-channel talks had brought a fragile peace to the region, with hopes that the cycle of violence might finally be broken. But that hope was shattered in an instant. In the tranquil town of Pahalgam, nestled in the breathtaking valleys of Jammu and Kashmir, a brutal terror attack unfolded, catching the world off guard and plunging the region into chaos once again. Militants affiliated with Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed struck with chilling precision, targeting a group of tourists and local residents. In a matter of minutes, 26 innocent lives were lost, and dozens more were left injured, their lives forever changed by the senseless violence. The attack was not just an act of terror, it was a direct assault on India's sovereignty, a calculated move designed to destabilize the region and provoke a national crisis. The shockwaves were felt far beyond Pahalgam, reverberating through every corner of the country. Across India, grief quickly turned to outrage. Vigils were held in cities and villages alike, as citizens demanded justice and a strong, unequivocal response from their leaders. The nation's patience had reached its breaking point. The Indian government, under immense public pressure and international scrutiny, convened an emergency session. For years, restraint had been the guiding principle. But now, that era was over. The leadership resolved to strike at the very roots of terror infrastructure operating from across the border in Pakistan. Behind closed doors, top military strategists and intelligence officials began meticulously planning a major operation. Every detail was scrutinized, every risk weighed. Secrecy and precision would be paramount to ensure the mission's success. The objective was clear: to dismantle the machinery that enabled cross-border terrorism, to strike at the heart of those who orchestrated such attacks, and to send an unmistakable message that India would no longer tolerate such provocations. This would not be a symbolic gesture or a limited strike. Instead, it would be a comprehensive, multi-pronged operation, targeting both the terror camps and the military infrastructure that shielded them, aiming to cripple their ability to strike again. The mission was given a name: Operation Sindoor. It symbolized not only a new beginning, but also India's unwavering resolve to protect its people and uphold its sovereignty, no matter the cost. The red line had been crossed. As Indian forces mobilized, the world watched, knowing that the next steps would shape the future of the region for years to come. Before dawn, Operation Sindoor was launched, a synchronized offensive that redefined India's military resolve. Rafale jets struck deep inside Pakistan, targeting over a dozen terror camps and key military installations. High-resolution intelligence and real-time surveillance ensured precision, minimizing collateral damage. For the first time, India expanded its strikes to include Pakistan Air Force bases at Sargodha, Ballari, Jacobabad, Sukur, and Rahim Yar Khan. The operation overwhelmed Pakistan's defenses, crippling terror infrastructure and sowing confusion in military ranks. Over 100 terrorists were eliminated, and critical facilities were destroyed. India's message was clear: no safe haven for terror and no immunity for its sponsors. The rules of engagement in South Asia had changed forever. The centerpiece of Operation Sindoor was a daring and meticulously planned BrahMos missile strike, a mission that would send shockwaves through the region and redefine the balance of power. The target, Nur Khan Airbase in Rawalpindi, Pakistan's strategic aviation hub, a site of immense military and symbolic value, located just miles from the heart of Islamabad. This heavily fortified base housed not only VIP transport aircraft, but also advanced Bayraktar TB2 drones, making it a nerve center for both command and rapid response operations. The BrahMos missile, renowned for its blistering Mach 3 speed and low-altitude flight profile, was selected for its ability to evade sophisticated radar networks and deliver pinpoint strikes with minimal warning. When the missile struck, the results were immediate and catastrophic. Runways were left cratered and unusable, aircraft hangars were reduced to twisted metal, and the base's operational capacity was shattered in seconds. Critical radar installations, essential for early warning and air defense, were obliterated, leaving the airbase blind and vulnerable to further attacks. High-resolution satellite images soon confirmed the scale of destruction, revealing a once formidable airbase now crippled, its infrastructure in ruins, and the confidence of Pakistan's military command deeply shaken. The objective was never mass casualties but rather the neutralization of a vital military asset, demonstrating both precision and restraint, while exposing critical vulnerabilities in Pakistan's defense posture. With this operation, India showcased its ability to hold high-value targets at risk, using advanced conventional weaponry, sending a clear message about its strategic reach and technological prowess. The world watched closely as the security calculus in South Asia shifted overnight, with analysts and governments reassessing the risks and realities of modern warfare in the region. The BrahMos strike was more than a military maneuver. It was a bold assertion of India's technological superiority, strategic intent, and willingness to act decisively when provoked. In a single stunning blow, Pakistan's military nerve center had been breached, altering the strategic landscape and setting a new precedent for precision warfare in the subcontinent. As the BrahMos missile closed in on Rawalpindi, a wave of panic swept through Pakistan's military command centers. Officers scrambled to assess the threat, their eyes glued to flickering screens as alarms blared in the background. The tension was palpable, every second stretching into eternity as the nation's fate hung in the balance. The missile's dual-capable nature, able to carry either a conventional or a nuclear warhead, left defenders in a state of agonizing uncertainty. With only 30 seconds to make a decision, commanders faced an impossible choice: respond with restraint and risk annihilation, or retaliate and risk starting a nuclear war. Standard nuclear protocols designed for slower, more predictable threats were rendered almost useless by the missile's incredible speed. The risk of catastrophic miscalculation soared, as every moment of hesitation could mean disaster. Simultaneous Indian missile launches across Pakistan's territory heightened the sense of chaos and fear. Military planners now had to consider the terrifying possibility of a full-scale counterforce attack, targeting their own nuclear arsenal before it could be used. For a brief, harrowing moment, Pakistan's leadership faced the ultimate use-them-or-lose-them dilemma. The pressure to act was overwhelming, as the fate of the nation, and perhaps the world, rested on their next move. This episode exposed the deep fragility of nuclear deterrence in South Asia, where split-second decisions could determine the outcome of entire wars. High-speed precision weapons like the BrahMos have blurred the once clear line between conventional and nuclear war, making it harder than ever to distinguish between limited strikes and all-out nuclear conflict. In those 30 seconds of uncertainty, the world teetered on the edge of catastrophe. The crisis showed just how little time leaders have to make decisions that could affect millions of lives. The world watched in horror as a regional conflict threatened to spiral out of control, reminding everyone how quickly escalation can occur in the nuclear age. The lesson is clear: in the age of supersonic missiles and instant communication, peace truly hangs by a thread, and the margin for error is vanishingly small. In the end, the fate of millions depended not on technology but on the restraint, judgment, and nerve of a handful of leaders, reminding us all of the immense responsibility that comes with nuclear weapons. Pakistan's initial response was denial, downplaying the scale of Indian strikes. But the truth emerged as civilian leaders contradicted the military, admitting to major damage at 2 air bases. A top aide to the Prime Minister revealed the panic during the BrahMos strike, confirming the 30-second nuclear scare. These admissions exposed deep divisions within Pakistan's leadership and validated India's claims of operational success. The world now had a chilling first-hand account of how close the crisis came to nuclear disaster. The facade of invulnerability had shattered. After 4 days of high-stakes conflict, a ceasefire was declared. India, having achieved its objectives, agreed to halt operations from a position of strength. Pakistan, reeling from the strikes, sought de-escalation to avoid further damage. Officially, the ceasefire was brokered through direct military communication. However, Pakistan claimed former US President Donald Trump mediated the truce, even nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize. India flatly denied any foreign involvement, reiterating its policy against third-party mediation. The Trump narrative was seen as an attempt by Pakistan to save face. The reality, the ceasefire, was a result of India's overwhelming show of force. Operation Sindoor marked a turning point in South Asian security. India shattered the myth of nuclear overhang, proving it could strike deep without crossing the nuclear threshold. Advanced technologies, BrahMos missiles, Rafale jets, ISR satellites, gave India a decisive edge. Pakistan's vulnerabilities were laid bare, from air defenses to command structures. The crisis highlighted the dangers of compressed nuclear decision timelines. Both nations and the world must now rethink deterrence and crisis management. India's new doctrine of punitive deterrence means future attacks will carry heavy costs. The region's stability now depends on clear communication and restraint. Operation Sindoor will be studied as a lesson in the razor-thin line between conventional war and nuclear catastrophe. The 2025 crisis showed how seconds can separate peace from disaster in South Asia. The world must prioritize robust communication and crisis management to prevent escalation. The BrahMos strike on Nur Khan Airbase symbolized a new era: precision, ambiguity, and unprecedented risk. International mediation claims underscored the volatility of the region. The takeaway: vigilance, responsibility, and a renewed commitment to peace are essential. The nuclear precipice is not history, it is a present danger demanding global attention.